On day 15 of this war, Iran fired a missile it had never fired before. Not never fired in this war, never fired in combat, ever, against any target, in any conflict, in human history. The Sajil ballistic missile, two-stage, solid fuel, medium range, 2,500 kilometers, warhead between 500 and 1,500 kilograms, was used in combat for the first time on March 15, 2026. It went through. Israeli authorities confirmed the attack. They confirmed the injuries. They confirmed successful interceptions of other missiles in the same wave. What they did not confirm, what the information blackout will not allow to be confirmed, is what the Sajil's warhead did to the specific target it reached. That silence is itself an answer. To understand why this matters, you need to understand one thing first. Most of Iran's ballistic missiles run on liquid propellant. Liquid fuel means preparation time, fueling, system checks, sequence initiation, and that preparation time is a vulnerability. American and Israeli satellites watch Iranian launch sites around the clock. The moment fuel trucks appear at a complex, a clock starts. Liquid fuel missiles can sometimes be destroyed before they ever leave the ground. The Sajil uses solid propellant, no fueling required. It can be stored ready to fire and launched with near zero preparation. The detection window before launch collapses to almost nothing. This is the most survivable long-range missile in Iran's arsenal. And Iran chose day 15 to introduce it, not day 1, not day 5, day 15. After 2 weeks in which American and Israeli forces had struck an estimated 75% of Iran's missile launcher infrastructure. After a 90% reduction in Iranian missile volume from peak. After the international narrative had settled around the idea that Iran's offensive capability was being systematically dismantled. On the day that story was most established, Iran introduced a weapon the other side has not yet developed its full operational response to. This is not the behavior of a military running out of options. This is the behavior of a military that has been managing its inventory, holding specific capabilities in reserve for specific moments, and has decided this is the right moment to use them. On the same day, Iran conducted 7 separate waves of missile attacks against Israel, 7 waves in a single day. And on that same day, Hebrew media reported that Israel is running low on interceptors. Read those 3 facts together. 7 waves, a new missile type, a depleting interceptor stockpile. This is not coincidence. This is arithmetic. 7 waves is not the most efficient way to inflict maximum damage on Israeli territory. 7 waves is the most efficient way to force maximum interceptor expenditure over the longest possible period of time. Each wave triggers a defensive response. Each response depletes the stockpile. 7 waves in one day is not a military operation. It is a financial transaction. Iran is buying interceptor depletion with missiles that cost a fraction of what they force Israel to spend responding to them. The Sajil accelerates this problem. A solid fuel missile with near zero launch preparation cannot be targeted before it leaves the ground, which means more interceptor expenditure on the receiving end for every additional Sajil Iran introduces. Iran has not disclosed how many Sajils it has. Intelligence estimates exist. Those estimates have been wrong before in this conflict. Israel's layered missile defense system was built around a specific operational assumption. Iran fires large volumes. Israel intercepts the majority. A small percentage gets through, and a combination of shelters and early warning limits casualties to a manageable level. The system has performed roughly as designed, in the interception percentage sense. What the design did not fully account for is the duration variable. Every arrow interceptor that fires costs millions of dollars and months of production time to replace. Every David's Sling round expended cannot be reordered from a warehouse. The production lines that build these interceptors run at a fixed pace determined by industrial capacity, supply chains, and manufacturing constraints that cannot be doubled overnight, regardless of how much money is allocated. America discovered this reality when it burned through 800 Patriot interceptors in the first 5 days of this war, a rate its own military leadership described as unsustainable within weeks. Israel has been firing interceptors continuously for 15 days against Iranian ballistic missiles, Hezbollah rockets from Lebanon, and now Sajil missiles that offer near-zero pre-launch warning. Hebrew media on day 15 confirmed what military analysts had been calculating. Israel is running low, not out. Low. The difference matters enormously. Low means the system still functions. Interceptions are still happening. The coverage that prevents Iranian missiles from flying through uncontested still exists. But low also means the margin has shrunk. The buffer that allowed commanders to engage every incoming threat without conservation calculus has eroded. Choices are now being made about which missiles warrant an interceptor and which do not, choices that did not need to be made on day 1. Iran understands this. The 7-wave structure of day 15's attacks was not coincidental. It was designed around exactly this reality. Iran also named the attack. The IRGC called it True Promise 4, a designation in a sequence that implies True Promise 1, 2, and 3 have already occurred, and that a True Promise 5 is already planned. The naming convention is a message. This is not improvised retaliation. This is a numbered sequence with an architecture. Each wave builds on the previous one. The escalation has a structure. And that structure was announced publicly, deliberately, on the same day Iran introduced a weapon the world had never seen used in combat. The most important strategic fact of this war is not a missile. It is not a drone, a bunker buster, or a naval mine. It is a line of code. Both Iran and the United States have invested heavily in offensive cyber capabilities for decades. U.S. Cyber Command possesses the most sophisticated offensive cyber toolkit ever developed by any nation in history. Iran's IRGC cyber forces have demonstrated, in multiple documented incidents over 15 years, the ability to penetrate industrial control systems, disable infrastructure, and conduct sustained operations inside the digital architecture of adversary governments. Neither side has used these capabilities, not fully, not openly. The restraint is not accidental, it is the product of a mutual deterrence logic both sides understand perfectly. If America shuts off Iran's power grid, in which Trump threatened, and which Larijani responded to with his warning that the entire region would go dark in 30 minutes, Iran or its proxies launch a cyber counterattack not against military systems but against the power grid, the financial system, water treatment, hospital operations, air traffic control, the civilian architecture of a country whose entire economy and daily life depends on digital systems functioning. The asymmetry here is critical. Iran's population has lived through years of sanctions, intermittent outages, and infrastructure stress. Its civilians carry a certain adaptation to disruption that wealthy, highly digitized societies do not. An American family experiencing a week without power or a failed ATM transaction in the middle of a war they never asked for produces a political consequence categorically different from the same disruption in Tehran. This is why the cyber dimension has remained dormant. Both sides know what happens if they open it. Iran is holding this capability in reserve. America is holding its response in reserve. Both sides are watching the other for the signal that the threshold is about to be crossed. Neither has crossed it, because both understand that crossing it changes the nature of this conflict in ways that cannot be undone. Trump says the war will end soon. He told the G7 that Iran was about to surrender. He told America there was practically nothing left to target. David Sachs said declare victory and get out. Israel's defense minister said no time limit, continue. Iran's answer to all of it was to introduce the Sajil, name the attack sequence, and launch 7 waves in one day against a country whose interceptor stockpile is running low. Every day this continues, the held-back capabilities on all sides grow more tempting. Every day the Strait stays closed and oil prices stay elevated, and American voters watch their gas bills rise. The domestic pressure to end this, dramatically or cheaply, intensifies. Every day Iran introduces a new weapon, launches a new wave, reveals another layer of what it had been keeping back. The same question sharpens. What else has it been holding? The Sajil was new. The cyber capability is newer and worse. The nuclear option is the end of the conversation entirely. 15 days in, 7 waves, 1 new missile, interceptors running low, no coalition forming, no negotiations, no surrender. This war is not ending, it is selecting its next phase.